This video is to show some of the special stitches from the Baby Viking Hat. So we do some front post, double and treble crochets, as well as some puff stitches to create the texture on the hat. There's more information about what supplies and how much yarn in the PDF as well as on the blog, which will have links in the description below. To start our Viking hat, we have for round 3, we're going to chain 2, and our first stitch is going to be a front post double crochet. So similar to a regular double crochet, we're going to wrap our yarn around the hook, and instead of going into this top stitch here, we're going to go around the whole body of that previous round's stitch and pull our loop through, and then we will finish our double crochet like we normally would. Gonna do our color change, 2 single crochets, and then our front post double crochet again, so wrap around through the full body of that previous rose stitch for the front post double crochet. Finish that stitch, and then again through the whole body of the previous rose stitch. And we're pulling the last loop of the stitch with the next color. There's another video on color changes that I will link in the description below. And front post double crochet, wrap around through the whole body of that stitch. I'm going to finish the row out like this, or finish this round out like this. And then our round 4 is half double crochets, so we'll meet back here for round 5 to show you more of the front post and puff stitches. Our round 4 is all half double crochets around. So around 5, we're going to chain 1, and in this first stitch is going to be our first puff stitch. And we're doing 5 loops for our puff stitch, so wrap the yarn around the hook, insert hook, pull a loop through, and that's 1. Wrap around the hook, pull a loop through for 2. Wrap around, pull through for 3, 4, and 5. Once we have 11 loops on the hook, we're going to wrap around and pull that through all 11. So for this one, because we are doing our color change with this first puff stitch, we pull through with our gold. Our next stitch is going to be our front post treble crochet. And for this, we're working in to that first front post double crochet. So we're not going to be working into round 4, we're going to be working into round 2. So like any other treble, we wrap the yarn around the hook twice, insert around the body of that double crochet and pull your loop through, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through 2. And that creates our front post treble crochet. The last loop, because we're doing our color changes, we want to be in the gray. And then we're going to be doing our increased stitches in our gray. which is in the pattern. And on this last gray and color change, before we do our next treble front post double crochet. So for the front post treble crochet, wrap the yarn around once, twice, and then through the body of the double crochet of round 3, and pull through. And because we're color changing, pull through with our last color. And we're going to be doing another puff stitch. So again, wrap your yarn around your hook and pull loop through for 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it was going to be in gray, we would pull our loop through with our gray, but because we're going to be doing another gold treble front post double crochet, we're going to pull it through with our gold. And front post treble crochet, wrap your yarn around twice through the body of the front post double crochet, and then finish out your treble crochet. And we're going to do this around, so we're going to end up with 4 puff stitches and 4 larger areas. Round 6, there is a slight change in normal stitching, as when we do our increase stitches, we're changing colors. So we're going to do our gold and then change colors and then do a gray in that same stitch. And when we make it back to our next front post stitch, and it asks us to do another increase, we are going to be doing it with our gray and then color changing, and then our gold. So we have a gray stitch and a gold stitch in that front post treble crochet. So we're going to go around like that. Round 7, we start out with our color change, chain 1, and then our puff stitch, where we wrap around, pull loop through 5 times. So we end up with a total of 11 stitches on our hook. And when we color change, we're going to finish off that puff stitch. Half double crochet, and then we're going to do another treble front post crochet. So wrap around twice, and we're going to be working in that treble crochet of round 5. So pull a loop through the body and up. And because we're still increasing our rounds, when we color change, we're going to be working in the stitch right behind that treble crochet, so we get our increase. And then we're going to go with our gray stitches. We're going to color change. And so while this one is an increase, this one is not. So our front post treble crochet is going to go in front of this stitch here. Wrap around twice, go through the body of the previous front post treble crochet. Finish off that treble crochet, and then we're going to half double crochet into that next stitch, followed by a puff stitch. Our color change, half double crochet, and we're going to be working on that increase stitch with the treble crochet. So treble crochet going through the bar of the previous treble crochet, and then when we color change, we're going to be working right behind that treble crochet, so it would be in the same stitch. We're going to continue that all the way around. With our treble crochets going into the previous front post stitches. Round 10 was our last increase row of the half double crochets. And so for round 11, do our puff stitch, making sure that we color change to finish off that stitch. Our 2 half double crochets. And again, when we do our front post treble crochet, we're working in the last treble crochet made. So working in the previous front post stitch, not just the previous row. And we're going to do this all the way around. So continuing with the directions for rounds 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And because round 16 is another special stitch, we will meet back here to go over the camel stitch for this hat. Round 15 is a half double crochet all in gold. And then round 16, we're going to be doing a camel stitch, which is working in the third loop of the half double crochet. So we have our front loop, our back loop, and then our third loop. So front loop, back loop, third loop. And our first stitch is our puff stitch. That's going to be a camel stitch in that third loop. And by doing a camel stitch, it pushes the front and back loop forward. And that will create a little bit of a ridge on our hat. So front loop, back loop, third loop, and half double crochet. Then we're going to do another puff stitch, still working that third loop. So camel stitch all the way around for round 16. And as you can see, by working that third loop, it pushes the front and back loop forward. And we're going to do that all the way around. Round 17 is all half double crochets in gold. And the last round for the hat is single crochets that are camel stitched. So again, working in that third loop of the half double crochet. So front loop, back loop, third loop, to push the front loop and back loop forward. And this creates a little bit of a ridge, giving our puff stitches a nice border. Once we have finished our round 18, I'm gonna slip stitch to join, and we're gonna cut and tie off and weave in our ends for the hat. For the puff stitches, you can push them out a little bit so they're puffing out in the right direction. And then all that's left to do is to create the horns and sew them on opposite sides of the hat. And you have a little Viking hat.